Welcome to our journey through Middle-earth. Today, we're diving into Peter Jackson's epic adaptation of J.r.r. Tolkien's beloved classic, The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey. In 2012, the first installment of the Hobbit trilogy hit theaters, rekindling our love for the fantastical world of Middle-earth. But what makes this film a memorable addition to the Tolkien legendarium? Let's find out. The story begins in the peaceful Shire, where Bilbo Baggins, a hobbit with no desire for adventure, finds himself recruited by the wizard Gandalf and a company of dwarves. Their quest, to reclaim the lost dwarf kingdom of Erebor from the fearsome dragon Smaug. Let's meet our heroes. Bilbo Baggins, played by Freeman, is our reluctant yet courageous protagonist. Then there's Thorin Oakenshield, the determined leader of the dwarves, portrayed by Armitage. And of course, we can't forget Gandalf the Grey, brought to life once again by the legendary McKellen. At its heart, The Hobbit explores themes of courage, friendship, and the struggle between good and evil. Bilbo's transformation from a timid hobbit to a brave adventurer reminds us that even the smallest person can change the course of the future. Peter Jackson's adaptation stays true to the spirit of Tolkien's work, though it takes creative liberties to expand the story into a trilogy. The film's stunning visuals, Howard Shore's enchanting score, and the rich character development make it a cinematic experience worth revisiting. Some standout moments include the Trolls' encounter, the riddle game with Gollum, and the breathtaking escape from Goblin Town. Each scene is meticulously crafted to keep us on the edge of our seats. The dwarves, along with Bilbo Baggins and Gandalf the Grey, continue their quest to reclaim the Lonely Mountain, their homeland, from the dragon Smaug. After successfully crossing over and under the Misty Mountains, Thorin and company must seek aid from a powerful stranger before taking on the dangers of Mirkwood Forest without their wizard. If they reach the human settlement of Lake Town, it will be time for the hobbit Bilbo Baggins to fulfill his contract with the dwarves. The party must complete the journey to Lonely Mountain, and burglar Baggins must seek out the secret door that will give them access to the hoard of the dragon Smaug. And where has Gandalf got off to? And what is his secret business to the south? At the Inn of the Prancing Pony in Bree, Gandalfian McKellen persuades Thorin Oakenshield Richard Armitage to obtain the Arkenstone to unite the dwarves. The 7 armies of the dwarves have sworn their allegiance to the king who wields the Arkenstone, a jewel that was stolen by the Smaug before he overtook Lonely Mountain and set up base there. Gandalf suggests that the dwarves' army is the best way to destroy Smaug and to take back the Lonely Mountain. He suggests that a stealthy burglar would be needed to steal the jewel back from Smaug. 1 year later, Thorin and his company are being pursued by Azog Manu Bennett and his ORC party down the Carrick following the events of the previous film. After Bilbo Freeman informs the group that a massive black bear is also tracking them, Gandalf ushers them along to the nearby home of Baron Mikhail Persbrandt to seek his aid. Baron is a skin changer who sometimes takes the form of the bear. That night, Azog is summoned to Dol Guldur by the necromancer Benedict Cumberbatch, and instructs his son Bolg Lawrence McCor to take over the hunt for Thorin. The following day, the bear changes shape to become Baron. Baron advises Gandalf to avoid the direct road to Lonely Mountain, as it goes through Dol Guldur, where the ORCs have an alliance with the necromancer. Instead, he tells them to take the road via Mirkwood, which goes through Elf country. The company reaches Mirkwood. Here Gandalf discovers black speech graffiti imprinted on an old ruin, and abruptly leaves without explanation after warning them to remain on the path and wait for him before entering the Lonely Mountain. However, they lose their way and are caught by giant spiders. Bilbo, with the help of the One Ring, sets about freeing the dwarfs, which results in him dropping the ring. Bilbo begins to learn of the corrupting influence the ring has on him after brutally killing a spider to retrieve it. At the same time, the Wood Elves arrive, led by Legolas Orlando Bloom and tauriel Evangeline Lilly, who imprison the dwarves following an altercation with the elven king Thranduil Pace. Thranduil offers Thorin freedom in return for Thorin getting the Starlight Jewel from the Lonely Mountain back to Thranduil. Thorin confronts the king about his neglect of the dwarves of Erebor, following Smaug's attack 60 years earlier, and is consequently imprisoned with the other dwarves. Bilbo again uses the magical powers of the ring to make himself invisible and infiltrates the elf fortress where the dwarves have been kept hostage. He manages to arrange an escape using empty wine barrels that are sent downstream. While being pursued by the elves, they are ambushed by Bold and his ORC party, and Kili is wounded. Thranduil seals off his kingdom when he learns that an evil entity has returned and is amassing great power in the south. But the captain of the elf guard, Tauriel, disobeys him and leaves to assist the dwarfs. She is smitten by one of the dwarfs who is taller than the others, Kili Aidan Turner, followed by Legolas, Thranduil's son, who is smitten with Tauriel. Meanwhile, Gandalf meets Radagast Sylvester McCoy to investigate the tombs of the Nazgul, which are found empty. The tombs contained the 9 servants of evil that answered to the Dark Lord Sauron. Gandalf reveals to Radagast that they answer to only one master and that Sauron has returned. The company then meets a man named Bard Luke Evans, who smuggles them into Esgaroth, the lake town where the descendants of Dale now reside. Thorin promises the master of Lake Town and its people a share of the mountain's treasure for their assistance and receives a grand farewell. Kili is forced to stay behind, tended by Fili Bean O'Gorman, Oinjon Callan and Beaufort James Nesbitt. Bard opposes Thorin's offer publicly, but it is also revealed that Bard is a descendant of the last ruler of Dale, and possesses the last black arrow capable of defeating Smaug. Bard's ancestor had fired 3 arrows at the Smaug and had managed to injure it, but could not defeat it in battle. Meanwhile, Gandalf returns to Dol Guldur in the south, while Radagast is sent to warn Galadriel Cate Blanchett of their discovery at the tombs. Gandalf finds the ruins infested with ORCs and is subsequently attacked by Azog. While he attempts to escape, the necromancer reveals itself, and a duel erupts between the two. The necromancer overpowers Gandalf and reveals its true identity as the Dark Lord Sauron. Meanwhile, Thorin and his remaining company reach the Lonely Mountain, where Bilbo discovers the hidden entrance and is sent to retrieve the Arkenstone, only to awaken Smaug Benedict Cumberbatch. In Lake Town, Bard attempts to bring the Black Arrow to the town's launcher, but is arrested in the process, leaving his son to hide the arrow. Kili, Fili, Oin, Beaufort and Bard's daughters are then attacked by Bold and his ORC party, who have infiltrated the town in search of Thorin. Legolas and Tauriel arrive soon after and fend off the ORCs. Legolas leaves in pursuit of Bold, while Tauriel stays to tend to Kili. The two then acknowledge the bond that has developed between one another. Meanwhile, a defeated and imprisoned Gandalf awakens and watches as Azog and the ORC army march off towards the Lonely Mountain. Meanwhile, Bilbo and the dwarves, now being hunted by Smaug, trick the dragon into rekindling the forges, and attempt to kill him by drowning him in molten gold. However, Smaug emerges and stumbles out of the mountain, determined to destroy Lake Town and its people for aiding the dwarves. He then takes to the air as Bilbo watches in horror at what they have unleashed. Peter Jackson's ego that was held at bay all through the previous installment breaks free in this one. The light-hearted atmosphere from the book, that shone so brightly over the first part of his version of The Hobbit, is no longer here. The strange storylines that were added to tie everything together so no loose end is left, and everyone watching the film knows that Peter Jackson did tell us all there was to know. An exact opposite of Tolkien's original, who kept always saying or implying that Middle-earth has much more to it than he could ever cover with his stories. It's a difference in egos that doesn't always work for Jackson. Even though he did create a magnificent fantasy epic, much darker than the first part, much more action-packed, very high quality of acting performances by all involved. The sins against the original book aren't as grave as those he committed with his later trilogy. Mainly because The Hobbit, as I already said, is a simpler story that doesn't allow for misrepresentations of the author's intentions. Jackson simply had to invent all these from scratch. I'm all for reimagining a story, but if you do so, at least be honest and tell us that's what you did, like Tim Burton did when he made his version of Alice. Jackson never said any such thing. If he did, it was kept a secret from most of the viewers, which is plain shame as far as I'm concerned. I know everyone is going to hate this review to pieces, so many Jacksoners are following every bit of film he creates, trampling in their wake over all those who dare oppose him. But I personally think that had he kept himself closer to the original, he would have ended with a better movie. It was so with the first part, but I feel like his ego couldn't share the credit with the original author anymore, so that's what we got. It's fun to watch, it's just a different story we're watching than the one we were promised. The Hobbit, an unexpected journey, may have received mixed reviews, but its charm and adventurous spirit continue to capture the hearts of fans worldwide. Whether you're a longtime Tolkien enthusiast or a newcomer to Middle-earth, this film is a must-watch. Thanks for joining us on this adventure. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more journeys through the world of cinema. What are your thoughts on The Hobbit? Let us know in the comments below. Until next time, happy adventuring!